Hey, it's me, MLB! Yes, this is still a thing. For those who have forgotten, here is part 4 of I Know It's Mine, the final part. Enjoy. And so the family reconnecting began. It's true when they say that babies can mend families. Well, it certainly is the case in this situation, but more on that later. Firstly, you hadn't realised just how dysfunctional the Todoroki family were. Not that it bothered you because you were from a dysfunctional family yourself, but man, how had Shouto kept you and Rui a secret from all of them? No one seemed to have known that you even existed. Shouto wasn't the best with communications, so you took it upon yourself to call everyone and invite them for dinner. The only person who was super keen for it to happen was Fuyumi, Shouto's older sister. She even offered for the dinner to be held at the Todoroki residence, and that she would cook for everyone. You decided to take her up on the offer. Tracking down Rei was a little harder, but she seemed to be really keen as well. Natsuo said he couldn't come, and Endeavour had even offered to send a car to pick you up and bring you home, but Shouto refused that offer. The night of the family meeting finally came, and you got yourself ready while Shouto attended to Rui. You'd put out a little outfit for her to wear, and had asked Shouto to put it on her for you. After getting yourself ready, you went to see how they were faring. You entered Rui's room and saw Shouto hunched over the change table, happy little noises coming from Rui. "How are you doing in here?" you asked as you walked up behind him. "I can't get these." You looked over his shoulder to see him trying to clip the little buttons back together at the bottom of her outfit, but he just couldn't get the fiddly things to clip back together again. "How long have you been trying to clip them together? This whole time that I was getting ready?" you asked, taking over from him. "No. Every time I finally got them together, she would soil her nappy, so I had to undo them again, and this is the 5th time I..." Just then you clipped the last one, and you saw Rui bear down and pull her little legs up to her tummy as she made a small grunting sound, little cheeks going bright red as she balled her fists up. "Not again," Shouto said. "Oh, really? Another one?" you laughed. "Okay, I'll clean this one up. You get ready or we'll be late." You quickly and expertly changed her nappy one last time and then got the bag ready to go. With Shouto now dressed in something smart casual, you all left, a nervous ball starting to roll around inside of you. The Todoroki estate was very large, as you expected it would be, and Shouto seemed to be a little uneasy. This would be hard for him to come back here. You placed a hand on his arm to steady him and looked over your shoulder to check on Rui in the back. She was wide-eyed, looking at everything out the car window. You pulled up at the door and Shouto got out and handed the keys to the concierge before walking to the back door to get Rui out, or you hopped out of the passenger side and adjusted your outfit. "Yin!" the voice of Fuyumi called as she came out to greet you. "Hi, Fuyumi," you greeted her. "Lovely to finally meet you." "Same here," Fuyumi said with a warm smile. "I'm so sorry I never chased up the media stories. I honestly thought the stories about you and Shouto were rumours, let alone the stories about little Rui." Shouto had gotten Rui out of the car by now, and the concierge had driven your car out of the way, so he walked across the gravel drive and up to the steps to Fuyumi. "Oh gosh, she's gorgeous, isn't she?" Fuyumi gushed, bending a little to get down to Rui's level. Rui smiled shyly at her, and then buried her face into Shouto's chest, and Fuyumi smiled. "Just like how Shouto used to be," she giggled as she straightened and smiled at you. Come in. Mum is already here. Shouto, we're just waiting on Natsuo and Dad." I didn't think Natsuo was coming," you asked her curiously as you followed in, with Shouto holding Rui walking in behind you. "I told him that I would never cook for him again if he didn't come," Fuyumi said. "He said that he would be here." You chuckled a little. Fuyumi led the way down the hall and entered into the dining room, where Rei was seated on the floor. She got up when you and Shouto walked in, and her face lit up as she looked at Rui. "Oh, how precious," she said softly. Rui looked at her and smiled, reaching a hand out to her. Shouto quickly held Rui out to his mother, and she took the beautiful little bundle in her arms and cuddled her close before reaching an arm out to give Shouto a side hug. "Beautiful," she whispered again, tears pricking at the corners of her white, lash-framed eyes as she looked at her granddaughter. "I can see the white eyelashes are a strong gene," you said softly to Shouto, who nodded while you observed his beautiful long white eyelashes, the exact same as his mum and Rui's. "And Yin," Rei said lovingly as she turned her attention to you. "Lovely to finally meet you." You smiled and walked over to her to give her a proper greeting, sharing a little moment together with her and your little one still in her arms. Rui seemed to be quite happy in Ray's arms, so you and Shouto sat down cross-legged at the low-slung dining table while Ray carried Rui around the room and showed her different things. Small conversation flowed between you and Shouto and Ray as she asked some questions about Rui, and the atmosphere was settling a little. Then Natsuo suddenly appeared in the doorway, and the room fell silent as everyone looked at him. "Shouto," he said sternly, "you run off, find yourself a beauty, and then appear with this beautiful baby. I am your older brother. Have some respect for family order. Should be me with a beautiful woman next to me and a baby." "Then why didn't you hurry up?" Shouto asked bluntly. "You're slow, Natsuo." "Come here and say that," Natsuo said as he dropped his bag to the floor and ran around the table to get to Shouto, but your man was up and running before he could get caught. "Boys!" Ray chided as they raced through the room. "Settle down, you'll scare Rui." Natsuo stopped and then turned to his mum and Rui. "Hey, cutie, you want to come home with me? I'll be a much better dad than this little brother of mine," he said cheekily to your little girl. "You can say all you want about me, but touch my Rui and I'll freeze you in place forever," Shouto threatened as he came running back in to save his daughter. I'm kidding! Natsuo laughed as he jumped out of the way. "Stop, boys!" Ray called with light-hearted annoyance. "Shouto!" a stern voice called from the doorway, and everyone stopped again. Endeavour had just walked in. The mood shifted immediately, and Natsuo scowled and avoided eye contact with his father. Rui, however, saw him and squealed with delight, reaching out, desperate to be taken over to him. Ray was surprised, but walked slowly towards Endeavour and handed Rui to him, their hands touching during the handover, and he blushed a little while she looked away bashfully. "It's been a while since I saw you with a beautiful baby in arms," he said softly, and she hid her face. "Henji, please," she whispered with embarrassment. "She really likes your dad," you whispered with amusement to Shouto, as he sat down beside you again. He grunted, but didn't say anything about it. "Okay, everyone, sit down, please. Dinner is ready," Fuyumi said as she walked out from the kitchen with 2 dishes in hand. "Natsuo, can you please bring the other dishes?" He nodded and walked into the kitchen to retrieve them, while you helped set them out on the table with Fuyumi. Once everyone was seated and ready, you all started to eat. Rui wanted to sit in Endeavour's lap, so you allowed it, and she watched as the food was passed around to everyone. Endeavour took a chopstick full of rice to place in his mouth, but Rui opened her mouth as he lifted the sticks up, and he very quickly dropped it down and tapped a bit of the rice off onto his plate, and then offered her a smaller mouthful, which she gratefully accepted, munching on it happily. Conversation didn't flow at that point. It was very quiet, but Rui didn't feel any of the awkwardness and just stole all of Endeavour's food, making for an interesting thing for everyone to watch. "She's a good eater," Fuyumi commented as Rui tried to swipe something from Ray's plate beside Endeavour's. "Well, she did so many, dirty nappies just before we left, so she's probably starving now," you chuckled. "Pass her over here," Natsuo said, and Ray took Rui from Endeavour's lap and got up to take her around to the other end of the table. "Here," Natsuo said, as she was placed between his crossed legs. "You pick whatever you want." Rui reached out for some fried tofu cubes, and he quickly got one for her. "There, you can have it all, this is your night," he said with a smile. She tilted her head up and smiled at him, tofu crumbs around her mouth as she chewed with cheeks full. "See, she gets it," he said with a grin, and Fuyumi laughed. "She's so gorgeous, Yin. What's she like at home? Is she this relaxed?" Fuyumi asked you. "Oh yeah, she's very relaxed, much like her dad," you said with a little smile at Shouto. "Where did you get the name Rui?" Ray asked. "It's very pretty." "Oh, that was Shouto again," you said bashfully. "He's been a very hands-on dad." Ray smiled lovingly, and from there things lightened a lot. Rui got passed around to everyone and just ate all night, and by the end of dinner she was looking very full and sleepy. With a yawn and a grizzle and a rub of her eye, she was passed back to you for sleep, but she kept whinging and reaching out for Endeavour, so in the end you passed her over to him, and within a minute she was out to it, lying with her head on his shoulder while he sat there very still. You knew that there was still a long way to go, reconciling in the Todoroki family, but if there was going to be a key to the healing, that key was named Rui, and she was doing her job perfectly. Well, it was relatively short and sweet, 4 parts. I think that's pretty good. I know I've got a number of other one-shots that I've promised extra bits for, so I've got to get moving if I want to get to some new content. So I'll see you next Wednesday for the next one-shot.